The MR Oncology workflow is used to read and evaluate MR oncological images of specific body regions and organs. The workflow offers advanced post-processing functions, for example, the segmentation of lesions and anatomical structures, and the image registration of several time points. Additionally, with syngo via MR OncoCare, it is possible to evaluate tissue in defined regions or volumes of interest, ROIs or VOIs, more accurately with histogram analysis, and also to visualize and track the changes for the tissue over multiple time points. In the Patient Navigator, right-click the desired study and select Assign Workflow. Then select MR Oncology. The selected study is assigned to the corresponding workflow. When the status is ready to read, simply double-click it. The patient data will be loaded in the MR Oncology workflow. Open the Series Navigator on the right side of the screen to load images. With single-click loading activated in the reading step, you just have to click the thumbnail of a series to load it for review, or use the Replace All functionality to load a defined number of series, for example, anatomical series and ADC maps. Scroll through the images and stop at an interesting position, for example, tumor, where you would like to evaluate the tissue in more detail. With the histogram functionality of syngo MR OncoCare, you can display the pixel intensity of each ROI, VOI, or segmentation result graphically as a histogram. The images have to be displayed in MPR format. Therefore, move the mouse over the lower left corner and click on MPR Thick to display the images in MPR mode. Select Lesion ROI volumetric tool from the upper right corner menu, for example, VOI Sphere. Draw a VOI around the tumor. Scroll through the slices to check whether the whole tumor is in the VOI. If necessary, change the contour of the VOI. It is also possible to use the 3D MR lesion segmentation result or VOI freehand as input for MR OncoCare. Select the contour with the left click. Use the right mouse button to open the drop-down menu and select Create Histogram. Choose the segment where the histogram should be displayed. The calculation is started. The histogram is labelled with the name of the corresponding measurement finding. After the calculation is finished, the histogram is saved as a part of the current study and is available in the Series Navigator. From the Series Navigator, you can drag the histogram into any segment at any time. In the histogram segment, 2 sliders are set by default, using your last OncoCare settings defining 3 histogram areas. The proportion of each is displayed. You can move the sliders to define the appropriate areas, for example, to determine which tissue parts you want to highlight based on your experience. Move the mouse over the lower area of the histogram segment to display the histogram toolbar. With the histogram toolbar, you can adjust the display of the histogram and define general settings for future evaluations. With color VOI or ROIs, it is possible to do a back mapping of the results histogram areas to the corresponding volume to visualize the different parts of the tissue. If the sliders in the histogram are moved now, the back mapping will be interactively updated. To save the histogram as a finding, use Add Snapshot. This will add a snapshot of the histogram to the corresponding finding. If the color back mapping of the VOI or segmentation result is enabled, an additional snapshot of this segment is added to the finding. On the histogram toolbar, there are additional tools available to adjust the histogram. Show colors toggles between a black and white and a color visualization of the histogram. Hide sliders shows or hides the sliders. The pixel values of the ROIs or VOIs, which form the histogram, can be made available for external processing by exporting them using the export to CSV exports the histogram values as comma-separated file. In the Edit Settings dialog, it is possible to pre-configure evaluation settings, for example, for different tissue types. Hint: only areas with a defined color other than white will be back mapped to the marked region. Areas which will be defined as white in the Edit Settings dialog will not be backmapped. Findings can also be tracked over several time points, and a trending plot of the ROIs or VOIs could be created in the Findings Details dialog box. This shows the progress, for example, of the therapy or tumor alteration graphically. Load a current and a prior case of the patient. In the Series Navigator, select Add Study and choose the prior study of the loaded patient. Add this study to the Series Navigator with Add Study. Select series where the tumor is visible from the current and prior study. Load them to display with Replace All and mark in both time points of the tumor with VOI sphere in MPR images. Select the contours with the right mouse button and select Create Histogram. To compare the trending of the two lesions, select the lesion measurement on the current study and, with the Control key pressed, also the prior study. Select Track Selected Findings from the Context menu. The prior finding is removed from the Findings Navigator, as it is now related to the current finding. If necessary, create a snapshot of the layout to have the histograms with images in the report. In the Interactive Findings dialog, open the Findings Details and select the Trending tab. The tracked findings are displayed in a trending diagram. You can select the different display type from the trending metric, for example, volume, recessed, SUVs, and also histogram region percentages. This information will be added to the report. Open the report to finalize your reading.